Hello everyone, this is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen. Hey, hey everybody. How are we doing? It is Friday, TGIF. TGIF. How y'all doing? Hey Linda, hey Shop Talk, hey Malika, hey Bishop, hey buddy. So before we actually get into everything, I got a question for Artisan. Did we like Ahsoka Tano? Did we like how that played out? Although I have to admit, it was kind of good to see a Jedi. Hey, Fit Feminine 40, how you doing? Hey, Ruminant. I'm still putting up the rest of these messages, so please bear with me. Thank you, Ruminant. Set it off. Thank you so much. Hey, Miss Brenda. Okay, so I went ahead and got that done. Because I'm telling you, posting these links, it be taking forever. And I be trying so hard because I can't really post it until I actually go live. And then it gives me the link to post. So I be hustling. When that music be going on, I be hustling. I need that music to be kind of upbeat because I be hustling trying to put those links in there. And then sometimes it still don't work. I still be like, I'm missing the link. Hey, thank you, Bishop. Peace, love, and Cash App. I heard that. Peace, love, and Cash Apps. Okay. I'm doing pretty good, Fit Feminine. I am doing pretty good. Oh, wow. I messed up my sleep cycle last night because I went to sleep super, super early, right? And then I woke up at like 10 something at night thinking it was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Girl, I was out of it. Then I was like, let me get up because I was full of energy and I had slept like a whole old woman. I was like elderly, right? So then I was full of energy. So then I was like, oh, let me get up, girl. Why did I get up, start washing clothes, make an order on Bed Bath & Beyond, girl? I was shopping because I had a cart already. And I was just going through the cart like, ooh, I like this bedspread. I like that bedspread. I like them sheets. I like this. I like that. And girl, I was washing clothes about 2:30 in the morning. I don't know what got into me because I guess I just needed to wash it. I was like, I'm up. Might as well do it. And, but I wrecked my sleep schedule. So I did not go drive or anything. Hey, Father's Time. Hey, D Remedy. Oh, thank you, Miss Brenda. I've been upping my game on my hoodie collection because I like hoodies in the fall. Not instead of traditional sweaters and all of this thick craziness. I just give me a nice hoodie. Let it be a cute color. I bought me a bunch of scarves to match the ones that I got. And So the fall is a bunch of hoodies, and the summer and the spring is a bunch of sundresses and maxi dresses. And I made me another order for Old Navy's jeans, because I had a sale on their jeggings. Girl, I was like, let me get up on these jeggings real quick. So I made that order probably early this week, so it should be here. I'm kind of low key looking for it, like where my jeggings at. How y'all gonna not have my jeggings? What y'all doing? Where my clothes? Duh. But I need to slow down on buying little clothes or whatever, because she really is getting like smaller. So the jeggings that are meant to be super skin tight, I can fit like both my arms down them. When I put them on, I can just put my arms down. I'm like, okay. Probably getting ready to really officially be 2 sizes lower. Which is like, yay. Okay, so today we have a very important topic. We are going to talk about our children being left behind. As you can see, that's the title. Our children are left behind. And I'm going to share a clip. Hopefully, I will be able to share this video without YouTube being like, you can't show that video. So hopefully I'll be able to show it to you guys. Just in case, what I'm going to do is I am going to put it in here just so you guys know what video I am actually referencing and looking at. So in case you wanted to look at that video separately on your own, you can. So basically, this video that I'm about to show is called How U.S. Schools Punish Black Kids 2020 Election. They're like gonna tie it to the election, which that's not necessarily the important part. The important part is all the stuff that they show in this video. Now, these are not going to be things that we've never seen before. Plenty of us have seen the clips that they're going to be referring to and all of that. So it's a 10-minute video though, so it's a pretty nice chunk, and all of it was equally important to me. So I wasn't able to go through and pick out like minute marks for you guys because all of it went very well together. So I don't know if we get to go through all 10 minutes of it, but I do want to just start it out, and then I'll be doing commentary. And we'll be having a discussion about education today, which is number 6 on the 10 life values list. Very, very important. It makes a lot of headway for us, but there are times when education hinders in different ways our community. Okay? So we're actually going to talk about that. So let me go ahead and get this all tuned up. Let me get it off of me, and let me put it here. But I want to make sure that you guys can see. Put a 1 if you can see the video, like over to the side. Put a 1 in the chat. You know what? Father's time. We don't need, you better be glad you have a wrench, sir. Because you cannot be timed out, sir. Okay, I think you guys can see it. Okay. So we're going to play it. Hopefully you guys can hear it and I don't get a YouTube, one of these So I'm going to be quiet and let you guys hear.
2019, a 6-year-old student named Kaya was sitting in her school's office.
Okay, she's gonna have to come with us now.
That's a police officer. This video comes from his body camera. At first, it seems like Kaya doesn't know what's happening. Earlier that day, Kaya had a tantrum. 3 school employees said that she had kicked them. The school called the police, who arrested Kaya on charges of misdemeanor battery.
I don't want to go to the police car.
The police dropped the charges after Kaya's grandmother sent this video to the Orlando Sentinel. Kaya's case isn't an isolated incident.
A 5-year-old girl being handcuffed by police in Florida.
For a year, he could not sleep alone.
He put handcuffs on me.
Tossed to the ground by a school resource officer.
What you're seeing are the effects of a larger problem in American schools. The U.S. doesn't treat all students equally. But if we wanted to, we could do something about that. The next president could decide if that happens.
This holiday, give them a gift they will never, ever forget.
It's huge! In 3, 2.
In 2016, researchers at Yale showed teachers this video clip of 4 preschool students. Their instructions: look for misbehavior and click when you see it. The study was kind of deceptive. None of the kids in the video actually misbehaved. The researchers were using eye tracking software. What they actually wanted to study was who the teachers were watching. Both black and white teachers spent significantly more time watching the black boy in the video. This study showed that even preschool teachers can treat kids differently based on their race without even realizing it. Look elsewhere in the US school system and you'll see this show up in other ways, like at this middle school in Bryan, Texas.
Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause this right here, and I want you guys to focus on what you just heard. When they performed that small experiment with the teachers, both the black and white teachers focused on black boys as the sources for possible misbehavior. Even though he was not doing anything any differently than the other children, he was not acting out, he was not misbehaving at all, yet the focus was on him. We expect that from the palm colored community, but what we have to understand is to expect that from our own community also. The vast majority of black people that are teachers are also women. Okay? I'll repeat that. The vast majority of teachers in our public school systems that are black are also women. The black male teacher is like a unicorn. Okay? Especially a masculine black male teacher. Okay? They're almost a myth. So that's important, that a teacher could look at a little boy that could quite possibly be her son, especially at kindergarten age, and look at him and think he's a problem. He's problematic. See, it starts early. Starts early. This is why by the time he's in puberty, he's that ninja that ain't ish, and he need to get up out my house. That's when he becomes that. But we'll continue.
They gave students tickets for offenses like disrupting class or using profanity. Black students were 4 times more likely than white students to receive those tickets. Nationwide, black boys miss way more school due to suspensions than any other group. And this can start a kind of chain reaction. Missing weeks of school due to suspensions makes students much more likely to drop out. Without a diploma, you're much less likely to earn a living wage and much more likely to be incarcerated. All this
in about 15 seconds or less, this video described the school to prison pipeline. Did you guys hear it? Did you guys hear that? In probably 10 seconds, this video succinctly describes the school to prison pipeline. Who laid foundational legislation and groundwork for the school to prison pipeline? Which politician did that? I'll wait. I'll wait for you guys to put those pieces together. Which politician? Real popular right about now. Which politician helped lay foundational legislative groundwork for the school to prison pipeline? Yep, the Democratic Party, more specifically Biden. As AM called him, Swiper. I still don't know why he calls him Swiper. I really don't. Clinton too, D Remedy, Clinton too. Because he was in office when the crime bill was proposed and enacted. And this is the person that they're striving so hard to put into the presidential seat. When he was the vice president for 8 years, nothing changed for black men or black boys in the positive in this country. Nothing. Old Crime Bill Joe. See, we need to be able to put these dots together. And, sometimes I can't help but get into that mode. I'm going to continue this video. I am. But sometimes I can't help to get into this mode where I don't have information, I have knowledge. Information is when you have the dots but no lines. They're unconnected. Knowledge is what connects those dots. Okay? So that facts and things like that can go from just being haphazard information to knowledge that can be applied. Okay? We're going to continue because I can go down a whole road. I really can.
This missing school is helping to drive the highest poverty and incarceration rates in the developed world. So it's worth asking, how'd we get here? In 1964, President Lyndon Johnson created a new federal office accountable to the president, the Office for Civil Rights. Its first task was to desegregate public schools in the South. But soon, they started noticing that some schools were segregating their students without actually calling it segregation.
A lot of the black students would be labeled disabled and removed from the mainstream classroom, so they wound up segregated.
Daniel Lowson studies school discipline. For years, he's been sounding the alarm about how much school black students are missing due to suspensions. The data he uses in his reports comes from the Office for Civil Rights. In the 1970s, they started requiring schools to report how many students they classified as disabled, plus suspensions and expulsions, all broken down by race and gender. Over the next few decades, those numbers went up as more punitive ideas about discipline took hold in American schools. Well, in some schools.
Gangs and drugs have taken over our streets and undermined our schools.
The idea that if you don't, throw the book at kids when they're young for every little thing, that they're going to turn into criminals. There's never any research to show that it actually worked. You never see that in schools serving mostly white kids.
Introducing Now. Just like that, it's here. Now doesn't wait, it accelerates.
So we're going to take that moment to pause. The school to prison pipeline is one of the main reasons why our community does not have proper mobility. Because at an early, tender age, Black boys are stripped of the foundational groundwork that is necessary in this country in order to develop proper mobility when they are adults. Okay? Thank you, Ruminant. Says Swiper is the main antagonist in the television series Dora the Explorer. As his name implies, Swiper steals or attempts to steal key items that help Dora on her adventures. Oh, so because he's a thief. Okay. Thank you so much, BJ, for the Cash App. Much, much appreciated, sweetheart. So we're going to tie this back, and I was wrong. Education isn't number 6, it's number 7 on the 10 life values list. Mobility is number 6. And notice how all of these things are interrelated and interconnected. Appearance affects mobility, right? But education also affects mobility in the reverse. So it's mobility, education, right? In that order. Mobility, then education. But education is very key to affecting mobility. So mobility is sandwiched between two things that greatly affect it. Your appearance, your reputation, your image, all of those things, and your education or your lack thereof. Okay? So we have to understand, and I shouldn't be telling anybody anything new here today. So we have to understand that when you deprive Black boys, if you just recall what the video, the little chart saying how many more Black boys miss school off the back of suspensions for petty things that children do. This is how you formulate, and this is how you substantiate and justify feeling like Black boys are always a problem or a source of problems. He's always unruly. He's always getting suspended. He's always fighting. He's always bad, even as a boy. This is well before he becomes a man. And what this does is discourage him from attending school where he's always the villain. I'm always getting yelled at. I'm always getting pulled to the side. I'm always getting taken to the office. I'm always getting detention. And one other important thing that was mentioned as a statistic for this office of civil rights, and one of those statistics were assigning disability to them. Assigning mental disability or learning disabilities to our boys. See, now, today, he's got ADD. He's got ADHD. He's got this, he's got that. He doesn't have those things. He doesn't have this. He's not dyslexic. He doesn't have a learning disability. He doesn't have a comprehension problem. He does not have any problems. Most of those children are not having those problems that they're being diagnosed with. They're not actually having them. They just want to get him out of the way. Just want to stick him somewhere where he can't prosper, somewhere where he can't flourish. And this doesn't have a ripple effect on his whole life. If you do the vast majority of Black boys this way, this isn't supposed to have a ripple effect on his life and the trajectory of that life. And then when he's older and he's frustrated as a young man trying to find his way, now here you come as the hyena. Well, he don't have his stuff together. When the system is set up to give you mobility and deny it to him. This is the problem. See, I pointed out the problem in Immovable, the last live stream I did. Now we see how education plays a role when it is being denied in proper fashion to black boys. And then you wonder why he can't operate properly in the society, because he has been denied the foundation that he needs to stand on that everybody else got, including black women.
But in 2011, a new report out of Texas started to cast doubt on that approach. The study looked at discipline records for almost 1 million students. It tracked the same kids from 7th grade all the way through high school. The results were stunning. Nearly 60% of students had been suspended or expelled at least once. The study also showed that black students facing school discipline for the first time tended to get harsher punishments than white students. And the more disciplinary violations a student received, the more likely they were to drop out. Clearly, Texas had a big problem. The question now was if the problem was bigger than Texas. To figure that out, the Obama administration turned to the data set that the Office for Civil Rights had built. That's how they learned this was a nationwide problem.
African American students are over 3 times more likely than their white peers to be suspended or expelled, often for very similar offenses.
They also discovered that the vast majority of suspensions were for behaviors like talking back, using profanity, or violating the dress code.
Nonviolent student behaviors, many of which once meant a phone call home.
The administration started investigating school districts where the numbers were the most damning. One of those districts was Bryan, Texas, home of the discipline tickets. In 2013, a woman named Marjorie Holman filed a complaint after her 12-year-old son was suspended for defending himself from a bully and had to appear in adult criminal court. The Office of Civil Rights opened an investigation in Bryan, along with hundreds of other school districts.
If you can't justify what you're doing and it's having a harmful impact on one group more than others, you have to replace it with something else.
But we don't actually know if those changes made a difference, because the most recent data on the Office of Civil Rights website is from the 2015-2016 school year. The year after that, things started to change.
The 51-50 vote to confirm Betsy DeVos.
The vice president votes in the affirmative and the nomination is confirmed.
In 2017, the Office of President Trump's new education secretary, Betsy DeVos, sent a memo to the staff at the Office of Civil Rights. This one super jargony line in the memo signaled a huge shift. OCR will only apply a systemic or class action approach where the individual complaint allegations themselves raise systemic or class-wide issues. Translation: no more looking for patterns in the data. If the office got a complaint like Marjorie Holman's, they would look for one thing: written or verbal proof that an individual teacher or administrator had punished Marjorie's son more harshly because he was black.
We're not going to question.
Completely problematic. Thank you, Ronan, for the Cash App. Completely problematic. Okay? We're not going to look for patterns because then we know the patterns are there. So there's no need to look for them because we aren't going to change them. The school to prison pipeline works just fine. Black men and boys have always been cannon fodder for the mobility of the country while not having any of their own or very little. Isn't that interesting? Black men and boys are some of the most disenfranchised groups in America, always used for the mobility of the country without having any proper mobility for themselves. Right? And where does it start? Nowadays, it starts at denying the education. That's been going on since the plantation days, because they never gave him education. They did, however, give it to the women. Y'all don't see this game? And y'all in 2020 still playing this game? Y'all in 2020 still running around talking about you got to get Trump out of office and you got to put Kamala in office and you got to put Biden in office. Y'all that's stupid. Y'all really that stupid? You don't know your own demise when you meet it? How long this country got to keep putting that same plan in place before you get it? Education, proper education, is part of the groundwork that people in this country and in other Western first world countries need in order to have proper mobility. You need proper mobility so that you as an individual and the group to which you belong, whatever group that is, may also have proper mobility. And you would have thought that this was about mobility. It's about the groundwork underneath it. Right? We continue.
In that, unless there's the smoking gun of intentional racism.
That's what happened in Bryan, Texas. When Betsy DeVos took office, the investigation into Bryan's schools was close to wrapping up. The final report concluded that black students were subject to disparate treatment when compared to white students engaged in the same or similar conduct. They had dozens of recommendations for the district: revise their discipline code, hire mentors and social workers, extra training for teachers. DeVos's team scrapped the report and closed the investigation with no finding of wrongdoing and no suggestions for improvement. If you look closely at this clip, you can see Joe Biden standing right behind President Clinton as he signs the 1994 crime bill. That bill ushered in new tough-on-crime policies that devastated black communities. As a senator, Biden played a key role in getting the bill passed.
We have predators on our streets. They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
And since then, he's had to confront that history.
I haven't always been right. The systematic.
I don't want to hear him getting up there, you know what I'm saying, with that amnesia, talking about he ain't always been right. This is who you vote for. These are the people you put in office. You spend a lot of time trying to vote him in office, but you're not a part of your local political scene to get nothing changed in your community, which is tied directly to education. Because I'm going to let it finish.
Racism that most of us whites don't like to acknowledge even exists. It's been built into every aspect of our system.
This policy plan comes from the Biden campaign. In the section titled School Discipline, it says that Biden would reinstate Obama's discipline guidelines and would push for every state to submit a plan for reducing the use of policies and practices that push kids out of school. Some people believe that all racism is explicit. A nasty slur, a whites-only sign, a burning cross. It's unmistakable and it's on purpose. But there's another way of understanding racism. That laws and policies can have racist outcomes even if they don't mention race at all. That you don't always need a smoking gun to do a whole lot of damage.
Going to Bayside is going to change our lives. That is the...
Thanks for watching this episode of our 2020 election series. For this series, we...
Okay. Okay, so that was essentially the end of that video. A very sobering video. Let's talk about education. Let's talk about the education of our black boys. I want to ask a question to everyone that is in here. Whose responsibility is it to educate our children, the mothers or the school? Just your opinion. Whose responsibility is it? The mothers or the schools? Okay. Most people are saying the mothers, right? In Immovable, the last live stream that I did, I pointed out how the women of our community have always had a better handle on mobility than the men of our communities. Oftentimes, you will find local politicians will be black women. And as I made an example of the alderwoman of my ward is a black woman. Most of the alder people in Chicago are black women, especially in their black neighborhoods, for the wards that cover the black neighborhoods. There's rarely a black man, always of the Democratic Party. She's the alderwoman. They involve themselves in civic duties. They involve themselves in community. They go down to the schools. All of these things. Yet the school environment does not change. The educational values have not been raised. They go to the schools and they don't challenge anything that's going on, especially in the Chicago public school system, a horrible school system. I'm so glad that I don't have any children that attend it. They get a diagnosis for their young son and they just go with it. We gotta have to put him on some type of medication. They just go with it. That rarely do you get a mother that questions and truly challenges what's going on with her children, especially her son. You let the school system ravage him, and then you blame him for not wanting to go. He's going to school, he's getting bullied. If it's not getting bullied, he's under a lot of peer pressure to involve himself in a lot of things that aren't conducive to him getting anything done, now or later. Or he might simply be a young man that need a little bit more attention, a little bit more care taken for him to assist him, and then he'll be able to excel, but nobody, including his mammy, could give a rat's behind about what he needs in order to succeed. And when he finally gets suspended for the umpteenth time, and he's expelled out of school, and he don't want to go back, because you're poor, you live in a poor neighborhood, and a lot of times they don't allow you to come out of your district to send your kids to another school unless you live in that district. So you can't send them to a better school. And then when he frustrated about the whole experience, you blame him for all of them troubles. You actually remove yourself as his mother from having any part or parcel in any of it. You're not guilty for none of it, let you tell it. Don't recall the last time you helped him with his homework. Don't recall the last time you had an honest conversation with him and his educators. You turn a blind eye to the fact that when he goes to school, it is like prison to him because they literally treat him like a prisoner. In our schools, you literally get patted down. You literally got to go through a metal detector. You literally got like jail and detainment in the school. You literally have Chicago police officers in the school monitoring the children, particularly the boys. You give him harsher punishments. The lady's son in the video that we just watched as an example, a school infraction, and he had to show up in adult criminal court to try to get it resolved, traumatizing him and sending him through the system. Then you teach your daughter how to send him through the system again. Girl, give him for his money. Girl, take him down to child support. Girl, we want strong black men. Where are our black men? But you don't ask where your black boys are. You deny any culpability in how you deny him. You help deny him all that he needs to move forward in life and be the leader that you claim you want, that you call into Kevin Samuel's show talking about. I just want to blame a high value black man. And he got to tell you ain't but 0.1% of them in the country. Wonder why? You would rather say he's shiftless and lazy and stupid, unambitious. He undereducated. Why is that? Who plays a part in that? But you want to be an older woman. You want to be a judge. You're going to law school to be a divorce court lawyer and a child support lawyer to help railroad your community and send them through the meat grinder. And then you will have the audacity, the sheer unmitigated gall to call into anybody's show talking about what kind of black man you want. You dirty heifer. Won't even consider homeschooling him. You won't even consider it. You won't consider getting together with the women of your community since you run it. Since we the backbone of the community, we the matriarchs of the community. Since you run it, why don't y'all get together and say which one of us can homeschool? You pay them for daycare. Might as well pay them homeschool. If you can't do it, if you either too lazy, too stupid, or too busy running the streets or running to Zaddy and his job to homeschool your kids, you might as well pay somebody that's willing to do it. Get together as a community, but you can't because that little sisterhood you got is fake and phony and based on hyena politics. Thank you, Fit Feminine 40. So the schools tried putting my 5-year-old on drugs to slow him down. What? That was not going to happen. Protect our children, especially our young men. Exactly. You have no sense of protection for your son. None. Send him somewhere where he can get, if you can't do the homeschooling, Get together in the community and ask who can do tutoring. Who can do tutoring? Who can help and assist him outside of school? So that when he goes, he doesn't have to meet all of these different challenges that not really in his job description as a student. No steps are taken to mitigate the damage of the school to prison pipeline by the women of the community that say they the backbone of the community. You have taken no steps, and the mother is supposed to be the first teacher of the child. So even if you weren't the backbone of the community, you certainly the teacher of your children, or you should be. But you leave it up to the system. And then if they fall in through the cracks, you let them. It's only a few mothers that fight really hard for their children. But the group is this big, and the problem is this big. You have allowed the disenfranchisement of your sons because you think you need to be empowered over him. And it's fun all up until you're about 36 and them eggs start drying up. And that kitty get to drying up. Now you look around where all the high value black men at. They not out here competing like the other men. Yeah, the other men's women don't help hold them back from a system that's already holding them back. You always in cahoots. You always in concert. You're a traitor, and your actions are treasonous. You're a traitor, and your actions are treasonous. And then you wonder why don't nobody want to deal with you. On no level. You view him with contempt starting from when he's a small boy, an innocent child, not doing anything wrong. You got a palm-colored supremacist so buried down in you that you look at him just like how Zaddy look at him. Y'all don't hear me though. You won't make effort because you don't care to. You want your children to be left behind. You want your boys to be left behind. Because you make all of these other extracurricular programs to help your girls. That's how I know it's pointed. That's how I know it's on purpose. Because we got Black Girls Rock. We got all kind of Black Girl Magic programs and camping programs and Black Girls for coding. And you're sending the little girl kids to coding school and all of this kind of stuff. Nothing for the boy. That's how we know it's on purpose. Because you can see how the educational system as is does not give her the proper what she needs to have mobility. You understand that? So you create all of these various different programs, these various extracurricular programs to give her what the school don't give her so she can succeed. But you fight against any such program, any similar program designed for the boys. Then you will sit somewhere and say, why come the men don't create nothing for the boys? Because you the mother. You're the mother. And you're supposed to be teaching all of your children, not just the ones that are girls. That's how we know your hyena clan does it on purpose. Then you get surprised. They all leave. He been to jail. His mammy put him there. You calls the police so he can get shot. You call the police so he can get arrested. And then you look at him crazy because he got a record since he was 15. Because his mama used to call the police, and then the school used to call the police. Then he got older, 19, 20, 21, 22. His little girlfriend want to call the police. He been to jail. And you don't mind putting him back, do you? Because you think that's where he belong. A caged animal. Fuel for the system that you like to put him in. You like seeing him there. You just give lip service to other stuff because that's what you're supposed to say. But that's not really what you want. And the proof is in the pudding because you don't make no changes. And you don't want other people to make no changes. When black men get together and say, we're going to make something for black boys, you fight it. So black men have to come up with something that with their own private money that they don't tell you about, that they do to educate or re-educate black boys and young black men so that they can have proper mobility and be able to address their lives in a proper way. I've been here about an hour. And I'm going to go ahead and woosah. I have not eaten solid food in probably 36 hours. So I'm going to go see if I can't eat something. Oh, man. Oh, before we get out of here, I want to, thank you, Roger Report. So I know a woman who was a school principal that constantly bragged on herself, and her own son was failing at his school he went to. The boy's dad had to get his stepmom to tutor him on weekends. Wow. Because they don't care. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because they don't care. They don't care about any of it. Thank you, Dead Set, for the Cash App. Thank you also, Malika, for the Cash App as well. Before we cut out of here, I want to make a real quick announcement about A Game. We are having a holiday sale. So instead of getting 10% off, you could get 20% off your next purchase by using the code Kendra20. All right. So I'm fully expecting the guys in here to nudge their girl and be like, you gonna get this for me for Christmas? You gonna get this? You gonna get this for the holidays? Don't you want something up under the tree? You gonna get this for the holidays? You see what I'm saying? See what I mean? So a 20% discount for the holidays using the code Kendra20. All right, you guys. Peace. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.